liberty. Can you stare hate right in the eye? Can you recognize the big lie? Yeah, the truth can bring down walls. The truth, it's a wrecking ball. The truth slips us soul, yeah. You ever have a secret that couldn't be told? Eat you up inside till you grow old. Burns like a cancer from inside. Matter how hard you try to hide. Yeah, the truth can bring down walls. The truth, it's a wrecking ball. The truth cements us soul, yeah. Underneath the star-filled skies tonight, you discover my disguise. It ain't right, no it ain't right. I'm lying to myself, you can see. Only honesty sets men free. Yeah, the truth. Come on! The truth can bring down walls. The truth, yeah, it's a wrecking ball. I said the truth cements us soul, yeah, truth. Yeah, 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 yeah. The truth can bring down walls. The truth, you know it's a wrecking ball. I said the truth can bring down walls. The truth, yeah, it's a wrecking ball. I said the truth can bring down walls. supposed to ride, standing at the station, ready to step inside. All you can see something that you do.
Stand by.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Well, hey folks, welcome to Eye on the Target Radio with Rob and Amanda. Today we are going to talk the history of ghost guns. We're going to talk a little bit about training. We're going to have Neil Widener from Active Self-Protection on as one of our guests. And then who knows? That's about the point where it flies off the rail. But so there we go. So Rob, what training have you? What shooting, training, gun related something have you done this week?
Well, I did some actual. I don't think training. I just practice. I guess we were doing some quick draw work and with the timer and deciding which way is faster, shooting top down or bottom up. And
okay, so when you say top down or bottom up, you're saying you're drawing from your holster and then you're trying to.
So you shoot the chest, then one to the groin area, or you shoot one to the groin area and two to the chest.
Okay.
So which way? I mean, in reality, the one to the groin, two to the chest is much faster, and I don't think that the victim is going to know one way or the other.
Because it's fast enough, right? Yeah.
So,
okay, so which way is faster?
Just starting at the bottom and work your way up, because your recoil already draws you up. So basically, you're just pulling the trigger about as fast as you can, and you can control.
Okay.
Otherwise, you got your two aim shots, you got the recoil you're dealing with, you have to pull back down to try to stop and hit your third target at that point.
Okay.
Makes it much harder. A lot of times, some of them do a drill where it's like two shots to the chest, one in the face. So it all depends on what you want to do, what you're expecting.
So as you're practicing and as you're drilling, so you're better to draw and then have the recoil help you get to your next
you crawl
target
up to
point.
Where you're going, and you're basically just throttling on the trigger at this point. We do some stuff with cadence drills where you shoot at a cadence, and you change targets in midstream of this. So normally when you switch from one target to target
another,
number
you
two,
pause.
You tend to stop, and this is keeping you from stopping. You just continue with that same bang, 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 bang as you move through the thing. It's a lot harder than it sounds. I mean, it sounds like it'd be simple, but inside of your head you just stop for some reason.
Right, because you know that you're not quite on that target, and so because you really should be sweeping as you go and then sweeping across. And
right, it's tricky, and if you don't practice it, you'll never catch on to it. It's not something that you're just natural born cadence shooter.
Got it. So I haven't really shot this week. My biggest thing, we were working on a roof and I did something to my hand.
You're gonna whine about smashing your finger flat? Is that it?
It was pretty well. Then it wouldn't bend.
At least it ain't your trigger finger. So
no, but it's my hold my gun finger, and so I've been having conversations. So instead, I've been talking to people, having conversations with people, trying to guide like new shooters or concealed carriers toward their gear and stuff. So that's really, I've done a lot of research because, man, the questions that I'm getting, the big questions are, where can I get a gun cheap? Well, this is 2020. There is no such thing as a cheap gun. And you don't want a cheap gun if you're going to use it to carry or defend. If you're not just using it to go to the range and you don't care if it goes off or not, you don't want a cheap gun. You want a dependable gun that may be price conscious. And so there is that. And then where can I get cheap ammo? Okay, once again, where can I get ammo?
1987, if you can get your time machine to go back there.
Right, where's your DeLorean? We're heading back in time. Well, it could have been actually in February, but where's your DeLorean? So those are the questions, and it's like people they still don't get that we are going to be in this dry
Tight
gulch
spot.
of
We're gonna be in this tight spot for a while.
for a while.
If you need a gun, buy one. There's no. What's your life worth? I mean, it's the kind of thing is if I need a gun, so I pay a little bit extra for it today. If I need it today, it's well worth every cent. If I
Every
didn't
penny.
need it, I paid a little bit extra, but I have one. And
Well, it's
good
not
for the
that you
rest of my
paid
days.
extra; you just bought it a little earlier.
Right, I've
again,
never paid
right?
too much for a gun. I've just bought it a couple years too early. That's all.
Right, but it was just really it's kind of interesting having those conversations, and you keep going, okay folks, let's talk about this, okay folks, let's talk about this, and then interacting with people as they talk about guns and gun safety, and you got to keep reiterating that.
You know, something that is funny is how many people have their gun and they have bullets and they have all this stuff, but they don't have it together. And so when they're looking for it, it's like, Mommy, have you seen my bullets? And
Where'd I put it?
I thought they were here, but they're not there. So you need to make sure that you got all your stuff in a bag. You got it labeled. So I mean, I have like a rifle case with a green tag on it. I got like a bag. It's a military toolbox with ammo and stuff in it, and it's got the same green tag, so that I know if I grab both green ones, then I'm out the door.
You're good to go.
And I don't end up somewhere with a .308 gun and .223 ammo or something.
See, I have all of my 9mm in a tote, and I took the tote and I went shooting, and I came home.
Is it still in your car?
I don't know where I put it. So I just went to the ammo shelf to look at that tote to see if I had
A certain brand of ammo.
a certain brand of ammo in it, and the tote's not there. So now I'm like, okay.
And now, right in the middle of the show, you don't have time to go looking around and where the next man
Right.
you might have.
So this is a perfect example of why you know where your gear is and you put it back exactly where it goes, and not just I'll get it back on Tuesday. So because
that's one thing we always say about concealed carry gun too, is if you take your gun out of your pocket to clean it or whatever you're doing with it, you unload it and you don't never put it back in your pocket until it's loaded and ready to go again. If you just empty it and then stick it in your pocket, it may be next week sometime before you look at it again and find out I didn't have no bullets all week.
I think that's a perfect example, because my missing tote of 9mm that is somewhere, right, is the perfect example of, oh well, did I put the magazine with the ammo back in my gun? You need to every time. If you unload it, don't put it back in its holster until it is reloaded and ready in the condition that you intend to carry it, because otherwise you're going to be.
Right, if you have a safety on your gun and you always put it in the holster with the safety on, put the safety on. If you never put the safety on, don't put the safety on. This way, then when you pull it out and it doesn't work, you've already eliminated some of the reasons why it wouldn't work, and you can go to reason number 11.
Right. So sometimes you don't want to be like Amanda. You just you don't. And this would be one of them where it's like, well, where did I put? And I know that if I ask my husband, he will say it's probably with the 14 pairs of shoes that you've left somewhere by the range bag. Right.
In the middle of your gunfight, you pull your gun out and find out it doesn't work. Guess what? You have a hammer. Now you need to use that hammer to the best of your ability to get a hold of someone else's gun.
Well, and have you been practicing getting your gun back in action? What's wrong with it? What could be wrong with it? Can you tap it, rack it, flip it, dump it, and get it started again? So George says that if all of my ammo fits in one tote, I don't have enough. That would be 9mm, George. So, and that's the box ammo. We'll just say box ammo. Because see, I have this reloader buddy, friend, sidekick.
Does it in buckets?
Does it in buckets. So buckets are different than boxes with logos and all of that.
Years ago I used to do it by the box of 50 or 100, and it was such a pain in that rear end. I just started doing from one 5-gallon bucket to another, and it's so much easier.
So he brings me a 5-gallon bucket, and that works. So I have to tell you that the projectiles come here. That way I get an idea of how it's a partnership. I'll buy the projectiles, he'll reload, we do well together. My husband picks them up from the post office. He's carrying the box. It's heavy as all get out, 60 pounds. He slides in the snow, drops the box, it rolls down his leg and under his car. So now he's in the goop and the snow with the box of projectiles under his car. Needless to say, he was not a happy camper when he got home because he had to shinny on his belly under the car to get the box.
And I ordered these in July, and I am just now getting, this is the third shipment of bullets in about the last 3 weeks.
3 weeks or something, yeah.
And but these were ordered in July before it got to be that there was some kind of an emergency.
There had been an ammo shortage, or it was the precursor. We started to see little bits of, hey, you better do something. And so we did something, and this is it. Had we not done something, we would be bad. When we come back, we're going to talk about the history of ghost guns. So stay tuned. We'll be back.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Writing Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Writing Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
So with all of the stuff that is being said and talked about all over the place with the ATF and the ghost guns, then I asked Rob if we could cover ghost guns and the history of the term and what it really means on the show, because I think that a lot of people don't really have a concept of what that is, and
ghost guns are just something that they made up in the 80s to try to make it sound more sinister.
So it either sounds sinister or Scooby-Doo-ish.
In the 1700s, when they were writing the Constitution, there was no gun company. I mean, you had to go to you went down the street and either got a blacksmith to make you the parts and you built it yourself, or there was a local guy who would build that for you. But all of that stuff was, when Remington went into business in 1813, and they primarily were just supplying barrels at that time. They weren't making whole guns. Colt 1836, Winchester in 1860. So there was a lot of things going on in between the time that we were a country and you could actually buy a store-bought gun with a company name on it.
Okay.
In the rules for 1968 Gun Control Act, it says you're allowed to build your own gun for personal use.
Well, let's talk about so in the rules of the 1968 Gun Control Act. So first, let's talk about the 1968 Gun Control Act. So this was written, and it had a couple different pieces, but it was written as a rebuttal, and it was passed because of the shootings of
JFK, RFK, and
Bobby Kennedy,
right, John Kennedy,
and Martin Luther King.
But they already had all this stuff written years before that, just waiting for the time to use it. Prior to 1968, everybody's seen an old magazine, and they got like a list of guns in there for $29. You can buy a Peruvian Mauser
they would ship it to your house.
Right. I mean, there was you didn't have to go through the gun shop or anything like this. They just sent it right to your house, and somebody picked it up, or they left it on the doorstep, or however it went to.
Right.
I've seen a lot of GIs where they had sent stuff home to mom, and they wrapped the gun so it looked just like a gun, and stuck some stamps on it, and sent it home from Okinawa or whatever. There was no imagination necessary to say that there's
what's
a gun
in this box? What's in this box? Let's guess.
Like a paper mache Japanese rifle.
That's what it was. So in 1968, they passed this, and part of what they passed was the fact that there was serialization. So manufacturers had to put a unique identifying number on them.
Right, but as a personal gun, if you built your own, you don't have to put any kind of numbers or anything. You can't sell a gun without the personal identifying numbers.
So you can build your own gun for your own personal use. It can't be for sale, and you cannot be a prohibited person. Those are really the rules.
So if you're already a felon and you can't own a gun, you can't make a gun for your own use and stuff like this. But if you're legally allowed to own a gun, you can make one, and you still can't make yourself a machine gun or something like this because it's got to fit into the rules of.
Well, they named it Ghost Gun because they said that a ghost gun can't be traced. It doesn't leave fingerprints, and it doesn't leave footprints, and it's not. You don't really see it.
In the early '80s, when the Glock came out, the big hype was it was plastic, and you wouldn't be able to see it on a metal detector or anything. Then they made it. They showed that yes, it had no steel in it. It can show up on it. Then they were showing these first of the 3D printed guns, I think in 2013, and they were all plastic. They quickly passed a law saying that it has to have a certain amount of steel in it.
So it is illegal. it is illegal to manufacture any gun that is not able to be detected by metal detectors. That's kind of where they've
Right, but
drawn
otherwise, the
that.
ghost gun itself, you're legally allowed to have them, use them, own them. Some California is one I could find, but if you can make them, but you have to put an identifying number on it, and you have to register with the state of California.
So you can make your own
You're
gun.
still
you
allowed
just-
to make them. You just have to register them.
Okay, so now let's talk about these 80% receivers, because the 80% isn't really 80%. It's just a number that they picked out of the air that's not finished. It is started, but it's not all the way done. So they said, 80%.
Right. And to the average person, it's a piece of junk. I mean, you can't really do anything with it unless you know exactly where to put the correct holes and slots to make it function.
It's not technically a firearm. It falls outside of the Gun Control Act of 1968. An unfinished receiver is a partially completed receiver that you have to do work to, and you have to know what work to do to it.
So it's a cool looking paperweight, but not much value besides that.
Well, and there is now the plastic unfinished receivers that come with rails and all that kind of stuff, where you have to do stuff and then affix the metal parts.
And there's people who will sell you a fixture that you can put the stuff in to do it, or you could buy I've seen actual milling machines that fit on top of the table that you put the piece in, and you program it with just like a regular milling machine at an industrial complex, and it will go in and do the work for you. It's not as simple as anybody could do it. You got to know something about these G code, M code stuff and make it function. But it's possible to be done. But there again, if you know all that and you have access to a milling machine, all you need is a chunk of steel,
block of aluminum. You don't have So there are polymer unfinished receivers. There are aluminum unfinished receivers. There are cast. But those are also aluminum, cast aluminum.
Right? I seen there was a couple months ago, there was one of the senators were trying to, they wanted to put a stop to you being able to machine your own stuff, so they were going to stop you from owning a milling machine, which every product that you use in your everyday life has at one time or another been on a milling machine.
Right, so either the product or the thing to make the product.
Right.
So all the molds, all the manufacturing parts, all the manufacturing process lines, all of that.
Right. It's amazing. So to think that they would outlaw the milling machine just because someone could do something bad.
If they thought that they could do that, that would stop manufacturing in the United States. It would really stop it.
My hands will be registered with the FBI like Barney Fife.
It may already be registered, or at least your tongue. I'm just saying they don't know what you're going to say, and we'll just stop. Yeah, so my hands are registered with the FBI. You're killing me. Hey, when we come back, folks, we're going to have Neil Widener from Active Self-Protection, and he's going to talk about training in ASP and all that kind of stuff. You're going to love it. We'll be back.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffecool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Dan Perkins with your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Hey folks, we are back. You have heard of active self-protection, and if you have not, you need to get thee to the YouTube channel and check it out, because you're going to want to know about active self-protection. But today we have Neil Widener, who is joining us from Active Self-Protection, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the videos and what they do and what active self-protection does, and then we're going to kind of go down the training path. So Neil, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. This is awesome.
So yeah, it's always fun to have you guys on, one of you guys from the active self-protection thing, because you guys blaze trails. You're doing stuff that nobody else is really doing, and you're doing it with such I don't know, such panache, such class, such gusto, if you will.
Well, you know, it's mostly because I'm so handsome. That's really all it is.
Oh, that wasn't part of the rumor I heard, but okay.
Well, you know, if I won't say it, nobody will. So I gotta get mine in while I can sometimes.
Get it in. So tell folks about Active Cell Protection. Tell us about Aspen and what all you guys, how it's made up, what you do.
Oh, man, we do a lot. John Correa is our owner and founder. He started this thing as a way to basically help the public kind of learn about self-defense and learn the mindset that it takes. Started way back, 5, 6, 7 years ago, doing videos where he just kind of learned how to go on and narrate or put his voice on some videos and teach some lessons. Ran it on Facebook for a little while, and then as the technology grew and his knowledge and the team, today we've got a couple of YouTube channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. About 2.5 million fans, I think, across all the different platforms. And, our mission is to help people defend themselves and give them the tools and the mindset and the skills to be able to do that and keep themselves and their families safe. So that's in a nutshell what active self-protection is. There's a whole lot more, detail-wise, but the big thing that really kind of put us on the map is the daily videos that John does with the lessons. So he'll take like a real-life surveillance video of a gas station robbery, a carjacking, something that happened on the street. And some of these things are real tragedies and some of these are real wins for the good guys. And so what we do is try to turn them into lessons so that there can be less tragedies and more wins for the good guys, is really what it is. And so, not every video turns out with the good guy winning. Sometimes we don't do it all right. And even if we do it all right, sometimes we still lose. Those lessons we got to learn too. And I think that's a good way to maintain the memory of somebody that that might have paid a bigger price for the rest of us, but we can honor them in that way, and so we do our very best to do that.
Yeah, you guys really kind of found a niche where people have a curiosity and people have a need, and and you started to fill that, and it's definitely the build it and they will come. Then you've got a whole series of trainers now. I know that I talked to Samuel a year ago or so at SHOT about start kicking off a new training segment that you guys were doing. How is that going?
It's going very well. So that's our active self-protection instructor certification program. And, what's really interesting is, Stephanie, my wife, is the CEO of Active Self-Protection now, so she kind of runs the whole show. There's me, I do the marketing and run the training side of things. There's John, who stands on the video every single day and gets his stuff done there. And then Samuel is helping with the instructor certification side. There's a few others as well that help us. There's, I think, 11 of us now actually making a living from this. But when it all comes down to it, we're all really big training junkies, and we love to go to gun school, learn new skills, just new things to continue to get better. I just this year I put a goal out there to get a bunch of training, and I just finished with a little over 200 hours this year as a student. And so all of that training that we've taken as a group holistically, and John's taken way more than I have. Steph's taken a significant amount as well. So was Samuel, so was Soleil and Logan and the whole team. What we find is there are a lot of great, world-class trainers that we've got to sit with and learn from. Gabe White, Scott Jelinski, John Johnston, and Tom Givens. There's so many great trainers out there. But for every one of them, there's 10 not so great trainers. And
that's a generous number, that 10 to 1. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to be kind. But, and in a lot of cases, and I'll try to kind of keep general here, but in a lot of cases, it's because adults learn differently than kids do. Adults in the civilian world sure learn differently than maybe adults in the military or law enforcement world. And so I think a lot of, there's a fair amount, at least out military guys that have jumped into the training world. And there's no doubt that they've got the expertise and the experience. But their mission was a significantly different one than ours is. In ours as a civilian, we're covering our own selves and our own family. We don't have a squad of friends with in a lot of cases, and so our missions are a little bit different. And our learning styles are significantly different. So to have, somebody stand in a line and say, do this and this and this, and without really any context, doesn't really translate over. And in some cases, the communication style isn't as great as we'd like, to be kind about it.
Right.
And so I've stood on enough lines and seen people get yelled at or been yelled at myself by a trainer, and I'm like, man, I'm paying money for this. This doesn't make any sense. And I don't feel like I'm taking a lot from this. And so that's why we started the instructor certification was, here's a way that we can teach people to teach people, adults specifically. It's not about the shooting. To get into the program, of course, every student has to shoot on video a dot torture without any breaks. They have to shoot that dot torture thing at 3 yards, and they have to score a 45 or better. And then they've got to shoot the FBI qualification, and they've got to score a 90 or better. So that's our proof that they can shoot. They know what they're doing. From there on out, there isn't much shooting in it. It's all about learning how to teach and how to communicate and how to transfer knowledge to adults. Really, Sam says, to learn how to fall back in love with learning. And I really like it when he says it that way. But, it's about teaching people, not about learning how to pull the trigger faster or more accurately or any of that kind of stuff. It's transferring the knowledge that we already have, as a firearms instructor group, holistically in the country. We've got a lot of knowledge out there. It's just that we don't transfer it very well, I think, in some cases. And so that's kind of the niche that we're trying to fill with this certification. We've run, we with COVID, things got a little crazy this year. I think, it's our first year. It's about a 6-month-long program. So we're in the middle of our second group, and we've kept the groups kind of small, one, because of COVID, and two, because I think it allows us to actually spend a little bit more time as a group and bond well. I think the first group was it 8 or 9 went through, and right now we've got 7 in the second group. So it's going very well. Our third group kicks off in February, and I think we've got 5 already registered for that, and I think we're going to limit that to a group of 10. If we get that many, we'll probably close it off. But it's not cheap. It takes a lot of time. It's about 5 hours a week with a weekly meeting, and we do a WebEx kind of meeting every week where we get online, spend some time talking to each other, talk through the books we're reading, the learning that we're doing. There's a significant amount of homework in this kind of thing, so it's not necessarily for everybody, but those that have taken it have given us some real high praise for it, so we're going to continue on.
Does the website have that dot torture and the FBI to tell somebody what that is if they go on your website to?
I think those are the FBI is a standard protocol.
I just wonder where they're going to find the information, because he talks about it. Where would they find it?
Yeah, so that's a really good question for folks that haven't ever shot it. Dot torture is the most aptly named shooting drill that there is, in my opinion. So what it is it's something that you can go Google dot torture. Todd Green came up with this, I believe, years ago, and it's a series of tests. It's a 50-round check or 50-round drill that you do, and there's 10 2-inch dots that you print out on a regular. You can just print it out on your printer, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Each dot has a different shooting assignment. Dot number 1 is the simplest of them all. You draw your gun, and you shoot 5 shots into a 2-inch circle.
Okay, so stop right there. They can Google that, and they can look at it. We're going to go into a commercial break. We will be back right after the commercial break with Neil Widener from Active Self-Protection. He's going to talk more about active self-protection and training. Hang on.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffecool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Okay, folks, we are back with Neil Widener from Active Self-Protection, and Neil's talking to us about the importance of training and the importance of good training, and the fact that sometimes we don't know if we're getting good training or not until after we've paid our money, we're standing on the firing line, and they say something, and you're like, seriously? You just said that? That would be my life experience. Maybe that's not your life experience, Neil. That's my life experience, where I'm like, I actually had an instructor trying to teach me how to shoot in the combat crouch. And I was like, okay, I'm willing to learn. So I was like, where do I put my butt? And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, center of balance. Where does my butt? Is it back? Is it front? Is it right? And so I'm standing up, of course, and then the whole class is now looking, and the instructor's looking to try to figure out where to put my butt, right? He didn't have an answer. It was pretty much the end of that.
He wanted you to take it to the car by then.
Yeah. I haven't had that exact experience, but I've had some experiences similar to that where I'm like, in the context of everyday civilian life in the United States, the thing that we're learning right now doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And so I think that's the big thing is it should be safe and it should make sense. And if you can't contextualize it, then why are we teaching it? And so that's the big part to me.
That is it. So you say that you've taken 200 hours of training this year. Will you tell us who you took training with? Who do you go to?
Yeah. Oh man, you cannot go wrong with Tom Givens and the Rangemaster stuff. And so this year, and I had always wanted to get into some Rangemaster classes, and the schedule just never worked out because prior to this year, I had a full-time job and I was working at Active Self-Protection. This last January, I went full-time with Active Self-Protection, and part of that agreement with me leaving my day job was that I'm going to get into my Rangemaster stuff. So this year I had 3 classes with Tom. I did his defensive shotgun class, instructor level, which was amazing. Then I did his 3-day pistol instructor class, which is like his the introductory one to his pistol stuff is a 3-day class. And then I did his 2-day advanced class a little later in the year. So those were the 3 with him. I spent a couple 3 days with Tim Herron doing his practical performance shooting class. Now that was a little bit more focused on the gaming side of shooting, but my goodness, there aren't very many better shooters than Tim Herron on the planet, and he is a great instructor. That was a really fun class, and I learned a lot about moving with a gun and shooting and just thinking about different problems because you're solving problems on the move. And in an actual self-defense encounter, you're going to have to do that as well. So it was very, very much appreciated and a really good class. Spent a couple of days with Gabe White, he's probably the fastest man with a pistol that I know, and he's also a really good instructor, and that's a great class. I spent a significant amount of time getting ready for Gabe because Gabe has a kind of a qualification thing that he does where you shoot his qualifier drills that he has lined up over the period of 2 days, and then based on your scores, you can either win or earn a dark pin, a light pin, or a turbo pin. Not everybody even gets a pin in most of his classes. And I took his class last year, and I came in at the dark pin level, which is the lowest of the 3. And I wanted to do better this year, so I worked my tail off, and I entered a light pin and had a couple of turbo pin run times in that class. So I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. Then I took Masad Ayoub's class, his DFI Deadly Force Instructor class. That was 40 hours right there. So that was a significantly fun class. There was no shooting in that, but there was a lot of, it's all about the law of self-defense and thinking, about all of that side of our world, because I think a lot of people don't consider that enough. Where did we go then? I think we then just finished up last weekend, spent a couple of days with John Johnston on the range. And I'm forgetting a couple, I know, but John Murphy's class. I took John Murphy's class over in Minneapolis. He did a really good class, which was really, really fun. I would highly recommend that to anybody. I'm actually going to take his again next year. It's called Street Encounters. And that was a 2-day class with some pre-work, about 8 hours of pre-work that we had to do before to get into that class. And there was a little bit on, some medicine or, the trauma medical kind of stuff. There was a significant chunk on OC spray or less lethal. And then there was a significant amount of shooting. And then there was kind of some like scenario-based stuff where he uses some like laser pointers to point at your targets, and you have to make some decisions on what you're going to do. And I really enjoyed that class. That was another level of thinking with a gun in hand, considering and I don't know if you guys know John very well. he's a little bit of a character, so he makes it really fun. I'm actually hosting him at a local range here next summer just because I want to take the class again. And I want all my friends to come to it because I really had a good time with that one. So
well, that was great. Now, before we run out of time, I know that you guys are doing an event in the summer that people can come to kind of get a flavor for some different instructors and some of the stuff that you guys do training-wise. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's the Active Self-Protection National Conference. Actually, it's going to be the last weekend in September next year in Manhattan, Kansas. So it'll be our third run at this. We basically kind of invite all of our friends that we feel are really good instructors, and they all come and donate their time. And everybody does, 2 and 4 hour blocks on the range. So there's 3 ranges at this place in Kansas. It's actually called the Living Water Ranch. So they support the Flint Hills Foster Teen Camp. So these guys take basically teens after they've aged out of the foster system, because most of them are homeless on their 18th birthday because they just don't have anywhere to go. So these folks take them, help them get work, help them move on in life and have a productive life. And it's a great story. If you ever get a chance, Google the Flint Hills Foster Teen Camps and see what Mike and Lisa do. They are some of the best people. So we do this all as a fundraiser for the camp. So every penny goes to them. So all of our friends that are instructors, so Shelley and Brian Hill come, Dave Laird comes, Paul Carlson comes. He drives all the way over from Ohio. It's a big group of amazing people. AJ Zito is one of them. I mean, just some of the highest end trainers that I know. They come and they donate their time, and we spend 3 days on the range there in Manhattan, Kansas.
So what does it cost? How does somebody register? What's it cost, and how do they get in so they can start planning their day?
Yeah, so we will, after sometime in January, they'll open up registration for this year. You actually go to the Flint Hills Teen Foster Camp website, and we usually put a link on the ActiveSelfProtection.com website to that, but you make your donation right to the camp. And so in the summertime, they take younger teens in foster care and run and have week-long camps for these kids to come out and spend a little bit of time. I'm telling you, if you showed up at the camp and watched Mike and Lisa with the kids, but 2, just the emotions that come out when they show you what they do with these kids. I got goosebumps just thinking about it. But
that is an amazing and worthy cause. So the Second Amendment people have heart, and so they are working on self-defense, personal protection, defending themselves, defending others, and doing it, in this case where you guys are doing it, while they're helping a good and worthy charity. So Flint Hills Teen Camp, and so their website is Flint Hills Teen Camp.
I think I think it's Flint Hills Foster Teen Camps.
Foster Teen Camp. Okay, sorry, I threw that at you without any advance notice. Hey, we gotta go, but folks, Active Self-Protection, look them up, check out some of their stuff. You're gonna love it.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Was red as the future was whenever you. station. You cannot make a move. Something inside you gives you heat, and then you know it's true. Is the fog lifting, or is it in your mind? You stand frozen as time unwinds. You can weep and moan, or you can reach your hand up and stop standing alone. Let them take your hand as you lift your face. Rise and take your place.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
So, hey folks, we are back for hour 2 of Eye on the Target Radio. Now, know that if you want to, you can call in and you can talk to Rob and I, and the phone number is 833-937-4668, and that is our call-in number. And then we've not told you yet today. This is hard for me. They tell me that I need to repeat this to you on a weekly basis for a while till you get the hang of it, that you can see us, not just hear us, by going to OpsLens on your phone as an app. So you can watch us on Roku using the OpsLens app. You can watch us on Apple TV. So it can be a little more interactive, doing anything fancy. We're sitting, Rob's not moving, well, I'll just say, but you can see us, you can join in. It's kind of interactive with, you can make comments and we'll do that. With the OpsLens apps, we also do a premium 10-minute show, a pre-show that is for OpsLens listeners, viewers only. And so you can get to us that way, or you can call in and so you can participate with us. And one of the things, if you're watching on OpsLens, know that our producer is the person who gets to put the taglines underneath our names. And I told him, be free, little bird. You can you within reason, have at it, have fun. And so some of these are absolutely hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. But
some of them you have to actually know geography to see the humor in it.
Right. Doesn't Arkansas owns 3 oceanfront houses in Arkansas, it says. Arkansas touches the water, or doesn't it? I don't know.
If it does,
not much. There's not a lot of Arkansas beach, if there is any Arkansas beach. I'm not good at that. So let's talk a little bit. People are losing their mind, and justifiably, but people are losing their mind about the ATF and some of the stuff that the ATF is doing. So during the Donald Trump era, the first thing that they did was they came after bump stocks. And there was a hue and a cry, but then it just kind of paused. And they banned bump stocks. And they did it by just changing the definition and then banning bump stocks. Now they had kind of stuck in the foray of the honey badger and said, well, the honey badger is illegal. And then the question was it illegal because it's illegal, or is it illegal because they hadn't completed the paperwork correctly?
Well, it looks like they are deciding to, on a case-by-case basis, everything that has a SIG brace type stock on it,
right?
The pistol brace stock, has got to go through the ATF to get the okay. It's not that they're going to put it on one thing and say it fits all.
So they're not going to do a full definition. They're doing the I'll know it if I see it definition. But we don't know it when we design it. We don't know it when we build it.
There's all different styles of things. So they're saying it could be that if it has certain kind of sights, if it has a certain barrel, if it has certain flash suppressor, all that stuff is going to play into. So I think that there's so many out there, they've lost control of it, and the chances of, down the road, yeah, they may catch you and it may be illegal, but it's going to be one of those things that if you're breaking the law with your gun, then they'll add those charges onto it. But otherwise, they're not just going to go looking for everybody who has a SIG brace right now, because there's millions of them out there.
There are a lot. But the fact that the ATF is making it illegal, there's a lot of people who are like, I don't want an illegal gun. I don't want to have them find me and then beat me up. Then, punish me, throw me in jail, have to lawyer up, whatever that is.
If the rules were written so that everyone knew where that line was, right, instead of it's however we're feeling this week, then it's one thing you can say, okay, this one is good, this one is not, and deal with it from there. But because there's no actual standard definition of what is a legal brace versus an illegal brace.
Well, that's because they'll know it when they see it. The interesting part in this whole, I can't use that word. I can't even draw another word because there's a word that wants to come out that FC, but it's a mess. We'll just say it's a mess. Is that in this know it if when they see it is we don't know it when we see it. And then they're saying, oh, well, here, just in case, register your gun. We'll bypass the $200 tax stamp. You register your gun, and then it'll be all good. So there's a lot of people who are like, I'm law abiding. I'm just going to register it. That way I'm out of trouble, and it'll be there.
And
So
the thing is, there's a ton of people who want an SBR and would more than happy to fill out the paperwork to convert their pistol to an SBR.
Right.
It's but are they going to get an SBR? Are they going to get any other weapon?
They're going to they're going to get a pistol brace. So yeah, there's bits of that. Then the other part is that we're hearing so many people are like, where's the NRA on this? What's going on with them? Why haven't they said anything? Why haven't they made a statement on the polymer 80 thing? Why haven't they? Know that the NRA is not doing anything. Because that seems to be the comment. Wheels of justice turn slowly. It turns really slowly. Lawyers move on a completely different time warp than the rest of the population
Well, you can
does.
see that with the presidential election.
All of it. It does.
It's
So
in slow motion.
So know that the NRA has released their official statement regarding the ATF and the pistol braces. And they've just done that. And that is out, and it's on Ammo Land. It's 15 pages. You can read their letter. So they've got an official statement back to the ATF. They've got a letter that states
some of what the NRA is just a megaphone to their members. So
yes.
They say, folks, look at this. This is what we know about it. We want you to call your congressmen, senators, everybody, and see if we can't get this straightened out.
So, and they're the laser pointer, we're the cat. We've said that before.
And whether this is right or wrong, it's not the question. It's they have to define what it is before they can decide if it's right or wrong. And that's the problem. Is have they let the cat out of the bag on something that they shouldn't have, or are they being overly protective of something that they shouldn't be?
It's interesting. Here's what the NRA had to say. By completely changing course on its earlier decisions, the BATFE has signaled that it is ready to collaborate with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and other gun control extremists to infringe on our Second Amendment rights. The NRA will fight these aggressive anti-gun actions on pistol stabilizing braces and polymer 80. Gun owners know that elections have consequences. Like I said, it's 15 pages. It can be read on Ammo Land, but it can also be read on the NRA's website.
The ATF has an acting director right now, so they do not have a full-time director. So it's a kind of thing.
Well, it does not have an appointed. She's full-time. She's just not has not been
appointed. And then gone through the
vetting process and all of that.
So it's the kind of thing that if they can figure out who's going to be president, possibly they could replace her with someone who is much more 2A friendly.
Or not. Well, they can't get somebody who's not any less. Well, anyhow, we'll just say that Regina Lombardo, though she is the head of the BATFE, I don't believe that she is a friend of the gun owners. I believe that this is a career path for her, not an avocation. And so I think that is part of what we are seeing. And that's the push that we get when we have, and I can't say he's a pro-gun president. We have a gun-neutral president. So when you take a gun-neutral president, a pro-gun Senate, and an anti-gun House, this is what we get. Is gridlock. We get gridlock. And that's probably the most polite word that I can use in what we got.
He had talked about that he wanted to do national concealed carry across the country and stuff.
He had an opportunity to do it, and I'm sad.
Right, and there's a lot of things that he's had the opportunity at, and he was busy doing something else instead of
the things that mattered most to the 2A world. And we're seeing it, we're hearing about it, and there's all that. But I just wanted you to know that the NRA did have an official statement. They are in this fight, and so remember that the NRA is still fighting their own fight, which is the fight with New York about their not-for-profit. So they are, if you will, in the middle of a nasty, nasty divorce. So how much time? So there's one group that's fighting for the divorce, and then there's another group that is watching for your gun rights. And there's just pieces, and there's a lot of moving pieces, and it's really easy to throw stones. And I'm watching a lot of anti-NRA stones, and I don't like it.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffecool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
with the story about Polymer 80, the NRA, and the statements. So what has been happening with the ATF is the ATF they've been dormant for so long, and then all of a sudden they started to make moves, and those moves are about the honey badger, and then it was that the ATF raided a company called Polymer 80, and Polymer 80 is a company that builds, though the words are, it's not really 80%, but we've talked about that a little bit, is that they produce the 80% gun, a kit called a buy, build, shoot kit, which once you machine it, it has all the other parts in. Seems to be what the ATF's heartburn is the fact that you can, with this box and your skill, put it together and make it a gun.
Right, it seems like if you would have bought both pieces separately, that's fine, but when they come in the same box,
right. And
now
so
they
this
know what
is
you're doing.
This is those words that words have meaning and all of this, and it kind of keeps shifting, but they'll know it when they see it, and we don't know it that it's an issue until they do this. The interesting part is that they raided Polymer 80, and they didn't arrest anybody that was there. They didn't take any product, but they supposedly took the list of buyers. So now then there came out this rumor, truly is a rumor, because there is someone who said, well, they raided a person and they demanded the kit back or they were going to get a warrant. Well, there's a couple things to it.
Come out with a name of someone that said
yeah, maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
It must be only one because we're not hearing it from anywhere else.
Right, so it's a singular, isolated thing. It's not reported in any other place. So it truly is an unsubstantiated rumor that in the gun world you're hearing. So one of the things about us as an industry is pay attention to when you hear a rumor and then what you see is exactly the same thing over and over and over again. That means that it's got legs. So pay attention to that, because it has not yet been substantiated that they've gone anywhere else, but they have gone to Polymer 80. Supposedly now they have now gone to another manufacturer for similar. So the ATF, it really is that the woken up and they have decided that they're going to rattle our cages. Are they rattling our cages because Donald Trump is busy other places? Are they rattling our cages because Joe Biden met with them, another unsubstantiated rumor?
Or are they trying to make points with the new administration coming in?
So are they doing that? So they're like, look at me. I am a temporary person and I can be on your team. We don't know. We don't know. But the gun organizations, the gun advocates, they're on it, they're watching it, they're involved in it. And what can you do? You can send $20 to the NRA. You can send $20 to the Second Amendment Foundation. You can send $20 to the Firearms Policy Coalition. Those guys are in the trenches actually filing the lawsuits and pushing them back and stopping them from encroaching upon us. And so that is, what can you do? That's what you can do. If you want to sit down in front of your computer, you can Google the Polymer 80 and you'll start to see some stories about what's going on with it. The other that Smith & Wesson has pushed back on their own. So Smith & Wesson filed a lawsuit that is against New Jersey. So they're like, I'm done. I am done and I am pushing. So the lawsuit is gunmaker Smith & Wesson is filed a lawsuit against New Jersey Attorney General Gruel. And so it's pretty interesting to see where they're starting to push back. And I think that's
well, some of what they
pretty
said is
awesome.
the anti-gun groups are starting to push them to get. They need lawyers and everything. So even though the
PLCAA,
CAA, look at that, I can't remember all the numbers. It's supposed to give them some form of
protection. So it's the Protection in Lawful Commerce in Arms Act.
Right. So now they're saying that some of the advertising that Smith & Wesson has used over the years is fraudulent and stuff like this.
Because they say that it's safe, and so they're like, define safe. If people die because someone used your material or your product, then how safe is it? Well, if that was the intended recourse because it was either me or them, how, right? I didn't get.
Yeah, it's just frivolous lawsuits that are designed to run them out of business or to burn up their extra cash so that they don't have money to develop new products and do things.
Well, the interesting part is I was on the Second Amendment. They have an hour-long show at the end of every week, and it's called The Weekly Bullet. And I was on with Paul Lathrop and so Cam Edwards from Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. And it was interesting because something that was said there really resonated with me, and that is that there are some really old, deep pocket anti-gun people. Think about that as a combo. Old, deep pockets, anti-gun. So if, as part of their exit strategy, exit from this earth, that they make a substantial donation to one of the anti-gun groups, think that they can do if they left money in buckets to like Moms Demand Action or one of the other gun restriction groups. What can they do, and how badly can they hurt us? And so that was one of those things. It's like, wow, we've got to work faster. We've got to work harder.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you look at the national tone, I guess, is everyone buying more and more guns. They're buying ammo. They're buying everything that has to do with a gun. As they see they're defunding the police, you're pretty much on your own, buddy, that type of thing. There are a lot of people I know that didn't have a gun or only had one, like a shotgun, have gone and bought pistols for in their own pocket or a home defense gun or something.
It's really changed. When we come back, we're going to talk about, there's a statement from the president of Federal.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
This is Dan Perkins with your songs and stories for soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website www.hfotusa.org and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Okay, folks, Federal is an ammunition company, and they actually own Federal, CCI, Speer, and Remington ammunitions. So there's a Jason Vanderbrink, who is the president of those companies, and he took to a podcast to speak out against some of the misinformation that was circulating about ammunition. So what have you heard? I mean, what rumors have you heard about ammunition? Because let me tell you, some doozies.
I heard where they're shipping all the ammo overseas because you can get it in Australia and the UK and stuff like this. You're just paying double the price for it.
Right, you just can't get it in the United States.
Right. So
it's more money, but because we're worldwide. Except you can't import it back in without an importer's thing. It's not like you can just order ammo and have it come in. It has to be in the United States. That is one of the regulated products. But so they've shipped it there. Well, it's because the United States has a shortage. The world doesn't have a shortage. So why does the United States have a shortage and the world doesn't have a shortage?
I would say some of it is all of 2020. We're looking at this presidential election that was just going exactly as we. It's going to end up in the courts or in the trenches in your front yard. The other is the fact that the Democratic side is allowing them to take over these cities, burn the cities down. They want to get rid of the police force. They want to do so. It's the little guy has to fend for himself.
So the little guy's watching the news and they're watching Portland burn.
Right, the wife's like, maybe we should have a shotgun, or maybe we need to get a pistol or something, and then we need to get bullets, and that's not enough bullets. We need more bullets. And then, I think I seen bullets. We should buy some bullets.
Maybe we should buy some bullets. But the interesting part is that there were 7 million new shooters. 7 million more guns were sold than expected. Okay, that's when they say new shooters. It is there is a curve that says that year in this, there's a curve, and we run this curve every time. They have a plan, they know what the plan is, they can see it, and they may not know whether you're going to buy this 9mm or that 9mm or this 45 or that 45, because are you buying a red?
A certain amount of pistols are going to be sold.
Right.
The thing was, I watched this video, and he listed off that there's all these new shooters with 7 million new.
7 million new shooters.
Okay, and he said if each of them only bought 2 boxes of ammo, which is not really enough to go out and shoot the gun too much.
Nope.
That's what he say, 700 million rounds of ammunition that these 3 factories would have to try to produce.
Right. And, I mean, when you think about it, you're like, okay, there's some new shooters, and then those new shooters.
So that's an additional 700 million rounds from what they would normally have been trying to produce for the regular people who were already shooting on a league or on the weekend or whatever they were doing. So.
Well, and then you tie that to the fact that we stopped the import for a while because of COVID, so the boats couldn't get in, and then that created a dry period, and then so you put all this together, and it's like the perfect. It really is the perfect ammunition.
And like I say, now, if someone goes to the store and they see 2 boxes of bullets, they buy those 2 boxes because they're not sure when they're going to see 2 more boxes. So
you and I were at a gun shop yesterday, and I saw they were moving around critical defense ammo, and I was like, maybe I need some of that. I really don't. I'm good, but
I try not to buy ammo. I mean, I'd have bought some gunpowder, and I have bought bullets, but I didn't buy loaded ammo because it's like I really didn't have to have it. I'm going to let somebody else have it.
Right. I refrained, but it was your gut says, me too. I don't think that that's what they meant by the Me Too movement, but I think that that's definitely where I was yesterday. Was playing in the Me Too on a whole nother level. But this is an interesting thing is the other part is that, there's so many rumors about the fact that the government is sucking up and taking all the ammo. I think that their supply houses are full from the last time they sucked up and took all the ammo. But that would just be my personal
guess. It makes you
guess.
wonder what happened with all that ammo.
Oh, it got all old and we threw it out like we throw out the
Usually it would show up on the surplus market or something. I mean, and so if the weather department doesn't need 29 million rounds of 308s, it usually would show up somewhere on the surplus side.
You think it'll show up in surplus, or will they just store it till it? I don't know. Yeah, I don't think in the short run they're gonna sell ammo in the government surplus auction sale thing. It's kind of like where you get a tank. You can't get a tank in their surplus thing. You may be able to get one of those really tall trucks.
No, some of the stuff though is that they trade it for other things that they need. So they'll put those ammo back into the ammo company towards new ammo or something, and whether they end up just tearing it down for a product or scrapping it or whatever, I don't know. But usually you'll find like a CDNN and these kind of places online that they're selling old ammo. I mean, the Remington, remember they had that electronic ammo years back?
Uh-huh.
It's like everybody who bought that poor electronic gun, I feel sorry for you, but sometimes you got to take if you bought the electronic gun or the 5mm Remington or the gyro jet or the Tround or any of that stuff, sometimes you take a chance and it gets to be popular, and sometimes you take a chance and it doesn't. So it's I mean,
if you're getting in ahead of the curve may follow you, or it may fizzle out.
Make a turn and go the other direction. All of a sudden, you're left out there with a.
I'm their leader. Which way they go? Right? They're not. There's nobody behind me. There's nobody behind me in that. But yeah, I think that. Well, the electronic gun, it's just now you can't get any ammo. It's just done.
Right.
You just have it.
I don't believe they make the primers or any of that stuff anymore. I mean, and it was a good idea. If you're trying to shoot very close, tight groups at long distances, the less parts that move are going to throw you off track less. So if it's all electronic, you load it up, and your trigger basically sends an electric charge to the thing, so there's no firing pin, no springs, no nothing, nothing to over travel, nothing to bring it like sudden stop or anything. So you don't have any of the jumping and jolting that a normal rifle would have. So you would think that at a long distance it would be much more accurate than the other.
But it just didn't pick up popularity, and it didn't pick up.
And some companies do that to themselves. I mean, NAA for a long time, they made these sort of 32 NAA round. It was like a 380 neck down to a 32, and then a 32 neck down to 25. They were proprietary. The only company who used them was this NAA.
Okay, and when they won't let anybody else, so the cost of ammo was high.
It goes away, and then nothing. The 5.7 by 28 that had come out years ago, it didn't do anything for a long time because FN owned it. When it finally went on the market public, anybody could have it. Then Ruger brought out pistols. I see Kel-Tec has new pistols. There's some different carbines available for it. So it's getting more popular due to the fact that their patent wore off and they're allowed to get it out there. But like some things just die prematurely due to the fact that there's only one gun for it, or only one manufacturer for the bullets, or something.
Or like it died prematurely. The model, they say, well, there wasn't enough interest. Well, it was because you didn't get enough out, or you didn't market it.
Right,
And
people are standing in line with money in hand. They got it on order at the gun shop, and they can't get it. And then they say, well, we're not going to make it because nobody showed any interest. And it's like, I could sell as many as I could get my hands on, but I could not get my hands on any of them.
I mean, and that's where, like, and I know that it has a bad reputation, or I can't even say bad reputation. It just has a vanilla pudding reputation, and that would be Taurus. You know, if you get a good one, you get a really, really good one, and if you get a bad one, they're
lifetime guaranteed, so they'll fix it.
So they'll fix it, but it's the PETA principle of that. But they had that little 380 Taurus Spectrum, and I think they did everything right on that gun. I really do think that they did everything, and because they did so much good stuff, I bought two of them because they're not making them anymore. They quit marketing. There's that. So it's really kind of crazy because, and then some people there's a statement that says that somebody was told they're going to phase out the 380 and they're going to stop making it. No,
the 380 has been here since 1908. It's going strong. It's still super popular and is never going anywhere.
There are so many concealed carry guns that are in 380. There are so many, like the Smith & Wesson Easy 380. There's so many beginner shooter guns in 380 that I too don't see it going anywhere.
Historically, the Walther PPKs and the PPs and
all of that. It was good enough for James Bond. It's got to be good enough for us, right? I mean, so there's all that. So when we come back, we've got more little snippets of news and just some general opinions of Rob and Amanda. Isn't that an amazing thing to have? So we're going to talk a little bit about California's one gun a month purchase limit.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffecool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional. A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, folks, we're back. The Second Amendment Foundation has filed a lawsuit on Friday against California over the state's 1 gun a month purchase limit for law-abiding citizens. And so California has a 1 gun a month limit on handgun purchases since 1999, but legislation to expand purchase prohibitions to all guns was signed by Governor Gavin Newsom in 2019. So it had been for handguns, and now it's for all guns. And so that made it a little easier for the SAF to find someone with standing so that they can sue. Once again, this is that thing that we've told you about, the fact that in order to file lawsuits, they have to find just the right person, just the right case, just the right, so that as they define this and as they defend this and as they do this, they're building blocks and they're building upon this. And they want to be careful that this is the person that they're going to put up, and this is the person who's going to be kind of the lawyers do the work, but kind of the spokesman. And so if you've got a skeleton in your closet, believe me, it's going to be dug out and rattled.
Also, too, sometimes they want it to, if this case was only going to do this case, but this one could be much more farther reaching. They want to put the money into the one that's going to be far reaching and give them much more bang for their buck, so to speak.
Right. And I heard, I recently saw someone who was having heartburn about the fact that the NRA once again, it was the NRA. The NRA would not pick up a lawsuit that they said, well, it was a slam dunk, but the NRA wouldn't pick it up and put their money behind it. And so they were outreaching and shopping for the other organizations to see if anybody else would. But that's part of it, is trying to make sure that it meets all of the criteria for the building blocks that they're looking for right now, and that it's not a building block that's 4 layers higher, and that they don't have the other stuff underneath
we talk about Heller and McDonald and stuff like this. It happened without us.
And they actually filed the day that Heller's decision came in. They filed McDonald.
Right. So but it's one of those things that they had to have this stepping stone to get to that stepping stone.
And that would be it. So though you're perfect case in your eyes, it may
not be the real thing. Also,
right.
Too, what did you say? Dick Heller.
It was 13 years for Heller to work its way through the courts. It was 2 years for McDonald to work its way through the courts. So you don't know. You really don't know how long it'll take. And then, we had
get 5 or 6 years into it, and all of a sudden, something else happens, and they're no longer relevant. Or
there were 10 cases that had been submitted to the Supreme Court that they'd kind of set off on the shelf as they were waiting for the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association against New York City. So they were waiting right there for that, and they had those sitting on a side shelf. And after they decided that the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus New York City was a moot case, and they decided that because the case really did have strength, New York City rewrote all their laws and then rewrote another law to make it so they couldn't unwrite that law so that they could lock it in, because all of the other states were saying, New York, take one for the team and don't allow this.
Famous for changing their mind, and so by rewriting the law so they can't change their mind, and that kind of locked them out of that lawsuit at that point.
But there was a whole nother stack of lawsuits that then the Supreme Court said, yeah, we're not hearing any of these. So there were like 10 of them that in, June or July of 2020, the Supreme Court said, yeah, we're not going to hear any of these. We're not. And so think about all the costs to work its way through the court system, to get to the Supreme Court, to sit there waiting as one of the ladies in waiting, figuring out, are they going to pick me? Are they not? Are they going to pick me? Are they not? And then they're like, yeah, the whole lot of you off with your heads, gone, go away, get out of here, out of my space, out of my face, out of my time. So it's kind of interesting and kind of crazy. And as gun owners, we're learning more and more about the Supreme Court than we ever thought that we would learn from.
We definitely didn't hear about it in school.
Yeah.
Ohio is working on a stand your ground bill, so it has passed the
House and Senate,
and it's waiting for the governor to sign it. Whether that will happen or not, because our governor is really bizarre in behavior lately.
Well, our governor, so this. Okay, I'll take bizarre. Yes. I had to think about that for a second, but no, he has this I can't even remember what it is now, but he has this belief that even as a Republican governor, that there is this whole series of red flag laws and this other safer something. I don't remember what it was exactly, that I don't know what the name of it was, because I renamed it something that, once again, I can't say on the radio. But he really wants to add anti-gun legislation into the state of Ohio. So in this case, he's got 3 choices. And his 3 choices are: he can sign it, he can ignore it,
or he can veto it, and then they'll, if they got enough votes, they can go back in
and do a veto override.
Case is coming through, and I believe that it has also passed, and it is, but it not passing it, but it was about redoing the.
Pass that too. So that is in the same situation.
So, I know people that are operating under the rules that they thought that 4 months ago that all passed in the budget bill or something, and so And I know people who have bought things that apparently are illegal still, but someone else was operating under the.
You know nothing, Sergeant Schultz. It's not you. You didn't buy the gun. You didn't buy the knife. You're not a knife person.
Yeah. So anyhow, now.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because I think that that's an interesting thing. We're living in this soundbite news. We're living in the soundbite era where you see something on TV and they're like, oh yeah, there's this bill and it's doing this and they just passed this. It's different when it passes the House than when it passes the Senate than when it gets passed. Okay, those are all different things.
It has to go to the House and the Senate, then back to the House again because somebody made a change or a reversal in it. Then once it gets both teams to say, yeah, this is good, we're through to get it voted on or signed into law. And usually that time it takes 90 days before it actually goes into law. Like I was saying here, this is a misunderstanding on multiple people's parts because someone thought that the law had passed and was looking to purchase this. Other people had thought the law had passed and already had them for sale. So somewhere along the line with these cross communications, that stuff's out on the street, like it or not.
And that stuff, and that happens. That happens a lot because you don't know. I mean, think about it. As a concealed carry holder, do you know when they change the law? They don't notify you. As a driver, do you know when they change a law that affects your ability to drive a car?
Right. I mean,
they don't tell you.
I can remember back in the day when they give us a turn where you could turn right on red. It was so confusing. Nobody was sure if they were allowed to do it or not.
What time ago too? I'm telling you.
Right, but I mean, they weren't sure if they were still allowed or not, so everybody just sit there.
I'm not doing it. Somebody's gonna. What was that? And I remember when they put the third brake light in, and it seemed like, wow, is that bright? Wow, it's coming at you. And then now it's just another light you ignore. Right? I mean, it doesn't have the same wow factor that it had when
you hadn't seen one before.
When they first showed it to you. Yeah. So it was they're going to show it to you for the. There's a lot of things like that where once you get familiar with it, it just doesn't affect you in the same.
Sounds like a marriage counselor.
No. Okay. No, but I think that they show you this because this law is going to save this or that law is going to do that. And then in the long run, it's like, okay, it's a third brake light yawn. That's.
Well, I got to say, the guy who invented the heated seat in the car,
We did right there. I was pointing at the clock. He didn't listen.
To educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to